I'll call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, April 7th. If everyone would please stand for the prayer and the pledge. Dear Lord, as we gather this evening, after a night of terrible storms, we ask special graces on anyone who's having to deal with the aftermath of those, whether it be water in their homes or just areas in their yard and things they need to clean up. We ask a special thank you, or give a special thank you that no one was hurt in those storms, and we hope that the upcoming season ahead we don't face nearly that kind of those kind of storms. So in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, all members are present with the exception of Councilman Johnson. Chair's additions, before I get to that, I would like to say that I am chairing the Finance Committee meeting tonight because Councilwoman Cazzo, who is our Finance Chair, has lost her voice, and our Vice Chair, Benny Johnson, is working. So, public comment period. Actually, before I move to number 4, I had a request from our engineering department to, and you guys have this change order request in front of you, to add an agenda item for this change order request for the DPW wash facility. There's already a change order number 2 on here. This is change order number 3. Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert and a second by Councilman Kluwat. Is there any objection?
You have to have a roll call vote to add something to the agenda because you need a unanimous vote.
Yeah, it needs to be unanimous. So, Madam Secretary, you.
Councilman Kluwat?
Yes.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes.
Councilman Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Brian Molosson?
Yes.
Councilman Satterley?
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
And Councilman Lohr?
Yes, okay, we will add this to the agenda as 14A. All right, public comment period. Reminder, if you wish to speak, please fill out a card with the Secretary and you'll have 3 minutes. And with that, we'll move to item number 5, which is an introduction of the members of the Impact Fee Exploration Committee. As Finance Chairwoman Cazzo has mentioned at the previous meeting, the members are the following: Mr. Billy Aguilar, Mr. Gasper Chafisi, Ms. Diane Cosenza, Mr. Donald Sanji, and Mr. Josh Ori, all of who are here tonight. And we also have a couple that aren't here tonight, Ms. Liz Laurent and Mr. Ken Furman. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just thank you on behalf of this body for your time, not only, of course, tonight, but in the months ahead as you work through this difficult issue and research the pros and cons and all the due diligence that will be required from you guys. We certainly appreciate the efforts and your willingness to serve and volunteer your free time. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to item number 6, which is to request an additional $30,000 for expert witnesses for appeal of case. Mr. Parrington.
Yes, I'm here for the district attorney. The letter that received said in St. James, but actually Daniel Blank was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to the death penalty in Ascension Parish in 1998. The appeals have passed. Now they're into post-conviction relief stage. The defendant has asserted that he's mentally retarded and cannot, thus under U.S. Constitution, cannot be sentenced to convicted of death. This involves a hearing, an evidentiary hearing. The DA's office will engage a forensic psychiatrist, a clinical psychologist, and possibly a clinical neuropsychologist. The hearing will be held with the doctors there, so we'll be paying them on an hourly basis. The DA's office consulted with East Baton Rouge parishes who had similar types of cases going on at the same time, and that's where they came up with the number, and they've asked that I request $30,000 for these expert witnesses only. Any questions?
I have a motion by Councilman Schexnayder, second by Councilman Kluwat. Discussion. Councilman Kluwat, you had something?
Yeah, that's for a hearing coming up, right?
It's for a hearing for the issue of mental retardation.
Competency hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not competency.
Oh,
It's whether he
really?
was mentally retarded or not. He was found competent, able to stand trial. The question is whether he's mentally retarded and thus cannot undergo the death penalty. So that's what, but you're entitled to a full-blown hearing on that. Experts come and they sit there because they're expert witnesses. They're not subject to the sequestration orders of fact witnesses. So you pay them by the hour while they sit there.
Thanks, sir.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes, O'Neill, will these individuals, I'm sure they probably yet to be identified, but, so maybe you don't know, will they be selected from Ascension Parish?
No, the DA's office will select them.
So
They'll
they
be
could be-
experts in this field.
They could be from anywhere, the three of them.
Right. They're looking at the same ones Baton Rouge has used. I don't know their names, but they're going to hire, the DA's office will decide who they hire.
Oh, we just have to pay them.
Yes, that's part of your responsibility.
Any further discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Item 7 is a renewal of a services contract with John McMillan and Associates for consulting and advocacy services for the parish.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Schexnayder. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Item 8 is a renewal of a professional services contract with DRC Emergency Services LLC for disaster-related debris removal. Mr. Weber.
Mr. Chairman, this is a standard professional service renewal for DRC, which did the debris removal for Hurricane Isaac. Very adequate performance, and we just request that this be renewed.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Thank you, Rick. Item 9 is an intergovernmental agreement between Ascension Parish and the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office to provide 8 inmates to the parish for work detail at Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Ms. Flo.
We're just requesting that this contract be renewed. It's a reimbursement to the sheriff for the salary and benefits of the deputy correctional officer assigned to supervise the inmate work detail in the amount of $72,000 per year,
Motion.
Okay,
which $25,000 of that is waived by the sheriff, so our total is $47,010.83.
Had a motion by Councilman Kluwat. Second by Councilman Melancon. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Thank you. Item number 10 is the renewal of a professional services contract with Roberto Macedo and Associates for administration of Parish Section 8 program. Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Finance Committee. This is a renewal for Mr. Roberto Mercedes, who administers the Section 8, and we would like a motion to renew this contract.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert. Okay, I have a second by Councilman Kluwat. Discussion? Councilman Schexnayder?
Martha, just a review, people always ask, what's the Section 8 housing project? Can you explain?
What the Section 8 housing
Yes,
is?
and how we have it set up in this parish?
Okay.
Or-
Through the federal government, there is a vouchers that are given for Section 8 for people who to qualify for assistance. And Mr. Roberto has been administering this program for the parish. This is his second year through his contract this year. The third one will be, we'll go out for RFQs afterwards, but it's basically on a voucher type services. They have not increased the parish's vouchers for assistance. We are at the breaking point right now. There's no more that have been added.
I think it was 72, or what was it?
72.
I think it was
72?
72.
Okay.
Yeah, so just let people know, the Section 8 housing thing is a voucher program with
Right.
72 people that have qualified.
And they have to go through a extensive qualification program to be able to get on.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes, Martha, normally, Berto is here, and he normally set up when they can register for it. He would let us know when they can call in the 800 number, because there's a window.
Right.
And after that window is shut, it's gone.
That's
So,
correct.
I mean, we have a total of 187 housing with the city of Gonzales and Donaldsonville and the parish. Is he gonna make a presentation to us, or are you gonna let the public know when that window gonna be open
I'm
for
sure he's
registration?
gonna make a presentation. This was just to renew his contract. His contract was at a time where we had to renew it, and then we'll ask him to come. He normally does come and give you all the information on what number and when it's gonna be publicized and how many days it would be open. So, yes, sir, we'll make sure he's here at the, would you like him to come to the finance or go to the council?
Hey, just when that window is open up, I'd like to have the public know, at
Right.
least a month in advance or a couple of weeks
Oh,
in
no,
advance when that
he usually
window
comes
open.
well in advance, but would you mind telling me where would you like him to come? Back to the finance, or would you like for him to address the council?
I believe he usually comes to finance.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds good. I'll make sure we get it on the agenda.
Great. Councilman Kluwat?
Yeah, I just, usually when Roberto comes, and I thank Councilman Shakespeare for bringing that out, that we have a slang thing that's thrown around a lot of times about Section 8 housing, stuff like that, and that the Section 8 is a personal thing, that somebody in New York, if they qualify for Section 8, they can move to Louisiana and still get Section 8. And it's a personal thing within the person. It's not,
Right.
what they
No,
qualify for.
Right. Mr. Roberto will be at one of the meetings. This was just to renew his contract, and that he will come and give his normal update on where we are, how many we have, what's the process, what number, when it be advertised. But this one was just to get his contract renewed, but we will make sure he comes back to the next finance committee.
Okay. Councilman Satterley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Martha. Just to be certain for the folks listening at home, this is 100% like it was with Mr. Macedo last time.
Right, uh-huh.
With the voucher system, meaning that there's no specific location in the parish where these houses are. Anyone, for example, who has housing and wants to participate in Section 8 can. And that's spread inside of cities and into rural areas.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Thank you.
Any other discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. We'll move to item number 11, which is an amendment to extend the term of the professional services contract with Meyer Engineers for the Lemon Center improvements. Ms.
Motion.
Martha? I have a
Second.
motion by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. Item 12 is an amendment to extend the term of the professional services contract with Meyer Engineers for the Donaldsonville DPW project.
Move.
Motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Item 13 is a CDBG Parish Sewer Improvements Project, amendment to extend terms of the contract with Evans Graves Engineers Incorporated and reallocation of funds.
So moved, Mr.
I have a
Chairman.
motion by Councilman
Second.
Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Kluwat. Discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. Item 14 is change order number ACC02, change order for the contract with Acadian Commercial Contractors LLC for the DPW wash facility to add days only. Mr. Petty?
Yeah, so in this case, this is the one where we added 14 days, but in the case of change order ACC 002, we're adding a total of 45 days to the contract, which brings the total to 225 days. This is due to the fact that the original specifications called for some equipment that was from out of state, and we worked a few extra days to find a local supplier that would provide us with not only installation but also service of that equipment.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Scheck-Snyder. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes. We'll consider 14A now, which is a change order number ACC 003 for the DPW wash facility. Mr. Petty.
Thank you. ACC 003 is a change order to the contract that would add a total of $3,635 to the contract, which would bring the total to $280,135. This is to add some receptacles in the pump room and lighting to the wash bays, as well as a security light to the outside. This was not included in the original drawings and specifications, but we felt it was a necessity to the project.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Scheck-Snyder. Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. Item 15 is a request to amend the construction budget for the DPW West facility.
Okay, so that's me again. So, in this case, this project, has a little bit of a history. We've been, working on this for quite some time, and, it, has had a number of various sites that, was chosen and then for one reason or another was not moved forward with. In the case of what we're here for, this evening, currently we have $575,000 budgeted for, this project, in the 2014 construction fund budget. What we're asking for tonight is to increase that budget to $930,000. And the breakout for that is due to the following. So we would like to amend the budget to add $205,000 to amend the construction budget based on the architect's estimate for construction from May of 2013. And then, due to the fact of where we propose to build the structure, the soil conditions are such that require some deeper foundations and some more work to the foundation as far as the design and the construction of that foundation, which would add $150,000 extra construction dollars, which would bring the total from $575,000 to $930,000. It was mentioned early on that West Ascension Drainage was going to put up $150,000 of that, but then that was later withdrawn, so we're asking the Finance Committee tonight to add the additional $355,000 to the 2014 budget.
Okay.
Motion to add to 355.
I have a motion by Councilman Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. Item number 16 is a request to amend the engineering services budget for the DPW West facility.
Okay, so without adding the construction dollars, this one wouldn't apply, but in this case, since we are going to have to redesign the foundation due to the current site, that is going to require a $9,200 amendment to the engineering contract with J&J Engineers to do that work.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Schexnayder. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Councilman Schexnayder.
just to let everybody know, we did have some meetings, and they came down and streamlined this project to save a good bit, hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. So the cost savings were pretty extensive, so I think it's a good project to move forward.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any objections? Motion passes. We'll move on to item number 17, our monthly contracts report. Good evening.
Before you should have a list of all the contracts that we entered into in the month of February. I'll give you a second to look over it if you have any questions.
Are there any questions on this report?
Yeah, quick question.
Councilman Kluwat?
The Center for Disease Control, that's a standard ongoing thing?
Yes, it's just a renewal. It's been there for
That's
several
what I
years.
thought it was.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, seeing no questions, we will move on then. Item 18 is the 2014 millage review. Ms. LeBlanc.
Good afternoon. You have before you a pamphlet I handed out right before the meeting, and we'll just quickly go over it. You get this every year. This is the procedures for the council to levy the parish government taxing districts millages for 2014. Every year you have to adopt your millages. This is not a reassessment year, so it will be a simple process. And actually, the council, as the governing authority of Ascension Parish, has two main functions to fulfill. First, you have to adopt your millage for all your government taxing districts, and then you sit as a board of review to adopt the total Ascension Parish millage, which includes all the taxing districts in the parish. The process begins in about May and ends with the acceptance of the tax roll by the Louisiana Tax Commission in November of each year. And of course, you're required by law to adopt your millage rates on an annual basis and by ordinance. If you open your little booklet to page 1, this is just the process you go through. Number 1 is, of course, adopting the millage by ordinance. And then it's not a reassessment year, as I stated earlier, so we left out all the issues that are applicable to a reassessment year. And then the parish council, as the governing authority of the parish, sits as a board of review and certifies the tax roll for all the taxing districts in the parish as prepared and presented by the assessor. And we have that process as an attachment that you can review at your leisure. And then the last thing we do is a quietus. We receive the audit report from the sheriff as the tax collector agency fund that he maintains. And once received, the treasurer of the parish government will issue a quietus to the assessor on behalf of all the taxing districts, which states that the sheriff, as the tax collector, has exhibited satisfactory evidence that all taxes due as shown on the ad valorem tax rolls of Ascension Parish for the current year have been paid or accounted for by the sheriff. 5 is a listing of all your parish taxing districts. And of course, the 2014 millage is the middle column, and the expiration date for each of the taxing millages is denoted if it is applicable. We have a constitutional tax, our parish tax, which is our general fund tax, and that reduces to half in the cities. And then you have the elections that you have called. And the only one that is expiring this year is the Fire District number 3, their first 10 mil tax. And the rest, you can see that the next one after that would be year 215. It's a West Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage Tax. And just a note, all millages are for 10 years except the constitutional millage for the general fund, which, as I stated, is constitutional. The 4.67 mills for West Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District is for 5 years. And the Utilities District number 1, ACUD number 1, is a 25-year mill. And the Juvenile Detention Center, which is new, as you know, is for 20 years. Parcel fees are not included in the millage process above, and so this is just information. Road Lighting District number 4 has a parcel fee. It does not expire till 2018. Fire District number 3 has a parcel fee that expires along with their millage in 2014. It's a 10-year parcel fee, $32 per residential and $100 per commercial. And then number 6 is just facts about ad valorem taxes and how much 1 mill equals. And this is in accordance with the latest tax roll presented by the assessor, which is year 2013. And you can see what 1 mill parish-wide would yield, and then also just rural only, outside the municipalities, what that mill would yield. And all taxes are subject to only said exemption, although the 2.86 general fund constitutional tax reduces to half within the cities. And then the last thing is how the property is assessed in the 3 main categories that it's assessed in. And then on page 3 is the ordinance that was actually introduced last Thursday night at your meeting to adopt and levy the 24 millage. And then we anticipate that if the publication goes as planned, that we would actually hold the public hearing and adopt the 2014 millage at your May 15th meeting. And then on page 5 is a couple of charts starting on page 5. This is all of your taxing districts, and this is in accordance, like I said, with the latest millage report, which was the year 2013. And with all the taxing districts that you're going to renew, yields about, in 2013, yielded $27,018,146. And then on page 6 is the parish taxing districts of all the taxing districts in our parish, and you can see all the taxing districts are listed or combined with as identified. And in 2013, all the taxing districts collected $113,106,015. This is what you would sit as a board of review, all these taxing districts to approve. And then the two attachments are just all the laws that are applicable to the millage process, and that's attachment A. And then the last attachment is the board of review process for your review. So we just wanted to remind you of your process before the public hearing and adoption of the millage came. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions? Councilman Satterley?
Yes, Gwen, thank you for the report. Just to be certain for the folks in my district, that fire district number 3, full 20 mills tax, 10 of it you said is coming off in 2014 as well as the parcel fee?
Correct.
Because at the end of the year, if that's not renewed, that could be a substantial savings to the folks up in the Perryville area.
Or loss if for fire protection services.
Right.
But I've talked to Mark Stewart, and he is working with our bond counsel, Malcolm Dugas, and it's my understanding from Mark that they want to call this election in November.
So you're saying tonight for the folks out there that they're going to seek renewal of that tax?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Schaefer?
Yes, just for, make sure, because it does get complicated, as you looking at this and get explained to it, we have the sheet that divides the parish and taxing district for all property taxes. And to let everybody know that the lighting districts, the city of Gonzales, Downsville, and Sorrento, the Council on Aging, West Ascension, Drainage District, all have 1% of the property taxes. And the Parish Assessment District assessor has 2%. Prairieville Fire District has 3%, which ends up being about $4 million. Parish government, juvenile detention, and ACUD number 1 has 4% of what you pay your property taxes, or about $4 million. Levy districts has 4%. The mental health for the parish is 4%, about $4 million. East Ascension Drainage District is 4%, about $4.7 million. The libraries have 6%, which is $7 million, a little over that. Law enforcement has 13%, which is almost $15 million. And school taxes are 56%, which is over $63 million. So for the people that ask where your money goes, this is where it goes. When you look, your Parish of Ascension taxes are divided up in those entities. So to let you know, we do with parish government on our general fees with about 4% of that. So just to let everybody know.
That's correct.
Councilman Kluwat?
Yes, I'd just like to ask the administration if there's any way possible, could we get these graphs posted on Channel 21?
We have them on our website, but we're planning to meet with the Channel 21 on
Maybe
our...
you could get, John Conlon to do a little
Right.
voiceover, simple explanation of what the two graphs, what they mean.
Yes, I've been working with Terry Casso to prepare a program for Channel 21 about the revenues and fund balance of the parish government.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you, Gwen. 19 is the sales and use tax report.
Okay, you have your regular sales tax report before you also. This is collections based in February, and that represents January sales. And it represents all three of our sales taxing districts: East Ascension Drainage, Sales and Use Tax District number 1, and Sales and Use Tax District number 2. You can see the month collections versus 2013 for February collections are all up, and the year-to-dates are down slightly. As you recall, I reported last month that they had a huge over $1 million audit in 2013, whereby we had none in 2014 for the January collections. Hopefully that will work itself out. The last column is the budget comparison, and you can see it's 16.6% of the year. All of them are over 18% in collections. And the second page is the bar chart. This just represents our 1 cent sales tax, and the object of this is to try to just give you an idea of where what sector your taxes are being collected in. And this is year-to-date, which is January and February. And then the pie chart on the next page is showing you the same thing, which naturally most of our taxes are collected in the petrochemical industry and their suppliers. The last one is the historical chart, and the yellow represents year-to-date, and the red is the remainder of the year. And as we're just starting 2014, you can see clearly that 2013 was our highest collection year to date. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions? Councilman Satterley?
Yeah, Gwen, am I looking at page 3 of your 5-page report incorrectly? The legend says the blue is 2014 and the red is 2013?
Right.
So does that say that in 2014 the petrochemicals down compared to 2013, with B2B motor vehicles and consumer retail is up?
2014 is blue, right. Mm-hmm. The pie chart actually is not correct. It was a confusion with our sales tax authority. They were changing software or something, like some issue that caused the pie chart to not pick, it picked up the reverse colors. I have a corrected one. And actually, the petrochemical industry and their suppliers represent 56%, not 62%.
But on the bar graph, to
The
be
bar
sure,
graph.
does that mean that the people are spending less year-to-date in the first 2 months of calendar year 2014 than they did in 2013?
We don't had a big audit included.
Oh, that's what you told us back in January, so that's what's causing
Yeah.
that. And it's also reflected in motor vehicles and B2B.
Well, yeah, motor vehicles has dropped off. They had a big year in 2013.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
At least for the first 2 months, anyway.
Other discussion? Okay, thank you, Gwen. We'll move on to item 20, which is our revenue and expenditure report. Ms. Amanda?
Good evening. Before you are the normal financial reports for the month of February 2014. Page 1, revenues are at 14.84%. Page 2, expenditures are at 20.24%, at 16.66% of the year. On page 3 are charts that compare year-to-date revenue and expenditure for both operating and capital to the budget. Page 4 and 5 gives you a brief explanation of the funds that are highlighted on page 1 and 2 that are under the budget for revenues and over the budget for expenditures by 5% or more at this point in the year. And the last page of the report reflects checks issued in the month of February over 100,000, and the total of these checks were $7,823,299.94. Once you review the report, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Amanda. Item number 21 are the bid items. To accept the lowest responsive bid as follows. Ms. Jones?
On March 18, 2014, the purchasing department received 6 bids for emergency backup generators for the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. After review, the purchasing department, Office of Homeland Security, and Parish Engineering recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Total Energy Solutions, and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service.
I had a motion by Councilman Kluwat.
Second.
Second by Councilman Satterley. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes.
Fire District Number 3 is requesting 2 units, a custom pumper and a 2,000-gallon tanker to be purchased from the Louisiana State Contract 478H1 Multiple Award Schedule. After review, the Purchasing Department in Fire District Number 3 recommend accepting the contract worksheet provided by Ferrera Fire and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this equipment.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert. Second by Councilman Schick-Snyder. Okay. Any discussion? Any objections? Motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Councilman Todd Lambert. Oh, before we adjourn, Councilman Joseph.
Yes, I'd like to return to item number 15 and item number 16, just to verify something. Those 2 items had on the agenda, no funds was available, and we did not give any direction where the funds was going to be coming from. And I'm pretty sure that should have been in the motion of where the funds going to come from.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to reconsider the item 15 and 16.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Joseph and a second by Councilman Satterley. Any objections to that? Okay, that motion passes. We'll move to item 15. Councilman Joseph, you wish to make a motion?
Yes, the motion that the funds come from general funds.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Joseph to specify clearly in that motion that those funds will be coming from the general fund. Do I have a second? I have a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Councilman Todd Lambert.
Is that where it's coming from, administration?
It's gonna come from wherever you say, and we were just gonna,
What was your recommendation, I guess?
we didn't have a recommendation. But what we were gonna do is just, we had to do a budget amendment anyway, so we would, at that point, clarified what fund you wanted to come out of. So that's why it wasn't.
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure that we're on the right track.
Is this locking us into somewhere else that you could have got the money from somewhere else? I'm just asking. Is this motion?
I don't understand. No, if you want to take it out of general fund, that's fine. I mean, if you want to take it wherever, I mean, you want to take it out of road fund, that's fine. So, whatever.
Everything we take out the general fund is going to come off.
At the end, it comes all the same.
Yep.
So,
All right.
it ends up.
One quick question.
Councilman Tyler.
I know it got brought up earlier since we're bringing it back up. The West Ascension Drainage Department will be housed at this DPW? Correct. But they're not funding any of it? And I guess what's the reason for that? If y'all could answer that for me.
Yeah, no
I know
problem.
we pay, right here at East Ascension, we pay a lot of things. Tonight, we have one item that we paid 50/50.
Yeah.
Wash job, rack or whatever. And, we do share a lot of costs with DPW billing because we, utilize it. So I'm just
Right.
wondering on the West Bank.
Well, we can go back to the history. In 2008, Todd, the previous parish president put $750,000 in the budget for the building. In 2009, Gustav and Ike money came available, and we had $500,000 specific for the building, okay? And last year, we took the $500,000 and put it in sewage. The building was funded. Whatever reason why we took the money away, the $500,000 and put it in sewage, which account. So I don't feel that the projects on the West Bank that we do need to have the money for some drainage project, it was already budgeted for and read out funds out of it. Whatever the administration wanted to do with the $500,000, I didn't have any objection to it. But under the understanding that the building will be paid from the parish point of view from general fund.
But I guess the question still is, drainage will be, spending a lot of equipment there and, it's just, seems like it may be only fair that they pay a little share.
Well, I'd be fair even to ask for the $500,000 from the grant money to go back to the West Bank. I think that would be fair too.
I'm not sure about the grant money.
The grant money was taken because we did not decide which site we were going to use, and then we had a time frame, and then at that point we put it in the Dara sewer system because if not, that would have been short $500,000. So either way, if you wanted to do the Dara sewer system with a community development block grant, you'd have had to come up with $500,000 or same thing. So we moved the money before we lost it. So that was bottom line, what happened to the 500,000. It went to a CBDG grant in the Darrah-Harryville sewer project.
And I guess, often we don't even get an option, we do split costs on the east side with drainage and DPW, and I just, and that's okay, because we do use the building, so just curious why we don't do the same there. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Cazo?
So there isn't any way that, I wish I could.
I'll translate.
So there's any way that ACUD on the West Bank would contribute to the construction of this building?
I'm not sure if anyone could hear. She asked if there was any way that ACUD one would be able to contribute to this building.
Not ACUD one.
I'm sorry.
No.
It's West Side.
West Side Drainage. I'm sorry.
West
I
Side
had
Drainage.
Right.
lost in translation there.
Well, in the situation with that, we have some project on the side with the major drainage project that we have on that side. And we have a bunch of, we still working on the budget on that. But that money is for that. And we might have had about 300,000 or 400,000, because once you take out the so-called amount of money that we have to have for the budget is like 850,000 we have to maintain. And we've been buying new equipment out there. So no, I would say we won't have the funds for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? We had an amended motion on the floor to specify that these funds would come from the general fund. Is there any objection? Hearing none, that motion passes, and we'll do the same with 16, request to amend the engineering services budget for the DPW West facility. Motion by Councilman Schexnayder, second by Councilman Joseph to, again, I won't put words in your mouth, but to specify that it comes from the general fund.
Yes.
Okay, amended motion there. Councilman Cluett.
Is there any way West Side Drainage can afford the $9,000 engineering tab?
We can do that, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So would you like?
Can you amend your motion, sir, please?
We can amend the motion that the $9,000 for engineering costs come from, exact cost is,
All right, Councilman Joseph will withdraw, or Councilman Schexnayder, it was your original motion, you'll withdraw it.
Mr. Parish President.
This is only a recommendation, so you can do this at the council meeting,
Yeah.
amend it when you do it.
I'd
So-
rather have it here if we can get it
Okay.
unanimous on the
All right.
consent, though, so.
all right.
So Councilman Schexnayder, you withdraw your original motion?
Yeah, I'll
And-
withdraw that motion and have it come from the West Side.
Okay, and then this funding will come from the West Ascension Drainage.
second that.
Second by Councilman Joseph. Any discussion? Any objections? That motion passes, and now we'll move to number 22. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Casso, who whispered it. We are adjourned.